Claire Jennings clutched her coffee cup and glanced at the large digital board above the platform. Her train to St. Louis was on time, scheduled to leave in 15 minutes. She had rehearsed every word for her presentation, checked her portfolio twice, and even laid out her clothes the night before. This meeting could change everything. Possibly her shot at a promotion that would lift her out of her tiny apartment and into the life she dreamed of. Just as she turned toward Gate 6, she caught sight of something odd out of the corner of her eye. A small boy, maybe 6 years old, standing alone near the vending machines. He wore a thin hoodie, soaked slightly from the morning drizzle, and clutched a scuffed teddy bear tightly in his arms. His lip trembled as he looked around nervously. Claire slowed. Her instincts warred with her logic. This wasn't her business. Surely someone else would help. But no one else even seemed to notice him. She approached slowly, bending slightly so she wouldn't scare him. "Hey there, are you okay?" she asked gently. The boy looked up with wide, frightened eyes. "I can't find my mom," he whispered. His voice was small, cracked with worry. Claire's heart clenched. She glanced at the clock. 10 minutes. "Do you remember where you last saw her?" He shook his head, close to tears now. She looked around for help but saw no security nearby. There wasn't time to second guess. She took his hand, guiding him to the information booth, explaining the situation to the clerk, who called station security. 5 minutes. She knelt beside the boy again, trying to distract him with gentle questions. His name was Henry, he liked dinosaurs, and he dropped his toy train somewhere near a pretzel stand. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Final boarding call. Her chest tightened. She could still make it. If she ran now. She stood, hesitating just long enough to see Henry's lip tremble again. No, she couldn't leave him. Moments later, the train pulled out of the station without her. Claire stood beside Henry, watching the future she'd planned roll away. But when the boy's mother came running, tears streaming as she swept him into her arms, Claire felt something even stronger than regret. She felt right. Claire sat beneath the station's overhang as a cold drizzle began to fall, dampening her jacket and darkening the edges of her suitcase. The mist train weighed heavily on her chest, her breath fogging in the chill. She tried to rationalize it. She could reschedule the meeting, call the firm and explain what happened. But deep down, she knew how unforgiving the corporate world could be. First impressions mattered. Missing a train wasn't just unfortunate. It could be the end of an opportunity she had worked so hard to secure. She checked her phone again. No messages, no emails, just the mocking silence of missed chances. Around her, life buzzed indifferently, commuters rushing by, announcements echoing over the speakers, and umbrellas bobbing in the mist. She sighed and pulled her coat tighter, trying to summon the strength to stand and figure out her next move. Just then, the quiet whir of an approaching engine made her look up. A sleek black luxury car slowed as it approached the curb, its windows tinted. Claire's brows knit in confusion. It didn't stop for anyone else, just her. The rear passenger window lowered slowly, revealing a sharply dressed man in a dark suit. His voice was smooth but firm. "Miss Jennings." Cautiously, Claire stood. "Yes, the Lancaster family would like a word. Would you please come with me?" Her pulse quickened. "I'm sorry, Lancaster," she echoed, puzzled. The man nodded. "It's about the little boy you helped. His grandfather would like to speak to you personally." The Claire hesitated, logic screaming in one ear, curiosity in the other. A black car, a rich-sounding name, an odd but polite invitation. It could be a misunderstanding, or something more. She glanced around. There was no danger in sight, only the quiet hum of the city. Then something in her heart nudged her forward, the same voice that told her to help that child. She took a breath and stepped forward, her suitcase forgotten. The suited man opened the rear door. She slid into the plush leather interior and froze. Sitting inside, with a cane propped beside him and a knowing expression on his face, was an older man with gray hair and piercing eyes. "Miss Jennings," he said warmly. "Thank you for saving my grandson." Claire sat stiffly in the leather seat, the soft hum of the luxury car barely registering in her ears. The older man beside her extended a hand. "Charles Lancaster," he said with quiet authority. The name hit her like a wave. Lancaster, as in Lancaster Global Holdings, the multinational empire whose name was plastered across airports, investment firms. She blinked, unsure how to respond. "Claire Jennings," she murmured, shaking his hand. Her voice betrayed her nervousness. Charles offered a small, knowing smile. "You didn't know who Henry was. That's what makes this meeting all the more important." Claire glanced out the window, trying to steady her racing thoughts. "I wasn't looking for recognition," she said softly. "He just looked so lost. I couldn't leave him there." Charles nodded. Most people would have, especially if it meant missing the most important meeting of their career. Her heart sank. He knew. Of course he knew. He probably had people tracking her movements before she even realized it. "I reached out to the firm you were supposed to meet in St. Louis," he continued. "They were impressed with your resume. More impressed when I told them why you missed your train." He slid a sleek folder across the seat to her. "But I have a different offer. One that doesn't require you to leave the city or compromise your integrity." With hesitant fingers, Claire opened the folder. Inside was a job offer. Director of Community Relations for the Lancaster Foundation. A salary that made her breath hitch. A description that matched her passion for nonprofit work and human connection. "You want me to work for you?" she asked, stunned. "I want you to lead a program that puts people first," Charles said. "Someone who doesn't step over a child in distress for the sake of ambition. Someone who sees people, not obstacles." Claire's eyes burned with emotion. Just hours ago, she'd thought everything had fallen apart. But now, staring at that offer letter, she realized something far greater had begun. The missed train hadn't ended her journey. It had simply put her on a better track, one she never saw coming. 2 months later, Claire stood by the tall glass windows of her office, the Chicago skyline stretching out beneath her like a maze of opportunity. The Lancaster Foundation's 22nd floor buzzed with purpose. Calls about grant proposals, meetings with community partners, and plans for their upcoming youth initiative. And at the center of it all was Claire, not just surviving but thriving in a role that felt like it had been waiting for her all along. Her days were now filled with meaning, crafting programs to support single mothers, allocating funds for shelters, and launching mentorship networks for at-risk kids. She had traded glossy boardroom presentations for impact that rippled through real lives. And still, the memory of that rainy morning lingered in her mind, like a hinge on which her entire life had turned. Every now and then, she thought about how close she came to missing all of it. If she hadn't noticed Henry, if she had run for the train instead, everything would be different. That thought humbled her daily. She hadn't known who Henry was, only that he needed someone. And now, her life was forever intertwined with his. Claire even saw him occasionally when Charles brought him by the office. Henry would run to her with shy hugs and talk about dinosaurs or the dog he was begging his mother to adopt. On one quiet Saturday afternoon, Claire returned to Union Station. She had started a habit of visiting once a month, handing out flyers for missing children and quietly observing the ebb and flow of travelers. As she stood by the same vending machine where she had first seen Henry, a little girl wandered near her crying. Claire moved instinctively. But this time, the child's mother appeared quickly, scooping her up. Claire smiled and turned away, ready to head home. Then, just as she stepped outside, a familiar black car pulled up beside the curb. The window rolled down to reveal Charles in the back seat, Henry beside him with a wide grin. "Still at the station, Claire?" Charles asked warmly. She laughed, brushing hair from her face as the wind picked up. Some habits are worth keeping. And as the city carried on around her, Claire knew she hadn't just helped change a life that day. Her own had been beautifully, irreversibly changed too.